Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, and you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome to the Smack Raw Podcast NXT recap episode. My name is Vince. I'll be your host. And today I got my good co-host with me, Aaron Real Petty from Mean Jelly Beans YouTube channel. What is up, my man?
What's good, Vince? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. You know, other than tech issues we've had the last 2 days and the power going out in my house, in the living room and bedroom, it's been solid, man. Obviously, different setting. I'm in my dining room. I have a whole Ethernet cable running down my hallway just to make this thing work. But yeah, man, I'm here making the best of it. We're going to talk some NXT a day late. We had this whole show almost recorded, done, and then we had to redo it because Zoom was being stupid and didn't capture any of it.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying not to jinx it because, like, literally the whole other side of the street right here, like on the other side of this, no power whatsoever.
Don't even say none. Don't even say. Hey, but before we get started, I want to get some quick plugs out of the way. Make sure you go check out Me and Jelly Beans YouTube channel on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel at SmackRaw Pod. Give both YouTube channels a subscribe. Comment down below, you know, what you think of the videos. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and turn on the bell notification so you know when the funny videos dropping on the Mean Jelly Bean YouTube channel. And we're dropping a brand new podcast here. We're usually dropping about 4 podcasts, maybe 5 or 6, depending on if it's a pay-per-view week or not. Which next week we'll be doing pay-per-view predictions for Money in the Bank, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you follow us on all social medias at SmackRaw Pod, at SCS Vince. You can find RN on at Mr.8984 on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You said also check out the Mean Jelly Beans Facebook page, right?
Yeah, Mean Jelly Bean Memes on Facebook or Aaron Real Petty on Facebook. So definitely check us out.
Definitely. Some funny stuff. A lot of funny stuff. The one recent meme that you got was like that one picture. It's like, oh, if you don't see the duck, then your mind's dirty as fuck.
Oh, yeah. I posted that too.
And here's the thing. I didn't know that there was a duck on the lower right-hand side. I'm trying to find the duck in the image that's there, and I'm like, God damn, my mind is in the gutter.
Like a couple people was like, I thought I was just a fucked up individual because I've been looking at this picture for like a half an hour and still don't see this duck. And I haven't commented or said anything.
I gotta show you the interaction me and Kyle had. He thought I was bullshit. I'm like, there's no duck. There's never been a duck. There's never gonna be a duck. And it's like, bro, don't make me screenshot this shit. So also too, if you're listening to it on audio form, go ahead and give it a download and follow wherever you consume all your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, whatever you decide. Go ahead and give the show a support. Let us know what you think. If you are on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give it a review and a 5-star rating because it helps the algorithm for the show. Let us know what you think, too. But with that being said, let's talk some NXT one day later, man. First off, we started it off with the Cruiserweight tournament match. We had Isaiah Swerve taking on El Hijo del Fantasma. The one thing that I noticed about this match that I liked compared to Fantasma's match last week was that it was a little bit more high paced, and it just I feel like maybe, I don't know if it was first match jitters or the matchup with Gallagher just didn't match up well, but him and Swerve put on a really solid match.
Well, my thing is, like, everyone knows how I'm gonna stand for Swerve, but if you really look at all his matches, you could tell that he's a veteran that pushes the pace and that knows the spots to get the crowd going and when to slow it down, when to go back and forth. And like I said, they actually had chemistry because, like we pointed out, they from Lucha Underground when he was Kill Switch. So
yeah, that's something that I didn't actually knew until you mentioned it to me. Because I knew they were both in Lucha Underground, but it didn't actually click until we had the conversation. So that's actually pretty cool. I like that. And
I just was glad I didn't have to lose my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I know you're a big advocate for Swerve. He's one of your favorite guys on NXT, but they do a certain thing with him where he sometimes wins a match, sometimes he loses. The booking is inconsistent. You just want some consistent booking with him. And you were saying, like, man, if Swerve loses, I'm going to lose my shit and I'm going to go off on the podcast. Luckily, that didn't happen. Why do you feel like Swerve had to win this one?
Well, to me, like I said, it wasn't necessarily like let's take away my fandom and the actual tournament aside. For my fandom, I'm sick of the 50-50 shit. Like, I know that for most of the guys that they kind of have plans for, I know that they kind of do them like this, where they 50-50 them, they use them to kind of get over some other people and like kind of keep them on the back burner until they're ready to put the rocket on them and send them. Like, I get that, I understand it. I hate it. It's stupid as shit. Like, he's one of your better wrestlers.
Right.
He's a veteran, even though you don't think of him that way. He always keeps the pace of the matches up. You can just tell when someone has a match with him, you know it's going to be a good match. He has not had a shitty match yet.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's fair to say that you put Isaiah Scott in the ring with just about anybody. He can put on a really good match, which excites me to see who he's going to go into the tournament against next. Because he faced off against, who was it, Tozawa, and lost. Yeah. And then now he won against Phantasma, solid pace match. I think the next person he's facing is Gallagher. So that's the true test. If he has a bad match with Gallagher, then it was Gallagher that made Phantasma look bad, and the chemistry just wasn't there.
See, I think a lot of it is going to be, too, that Swerve can be either heel or face. So I think that's going to play a role in how the match and, like, why it'll be a different match when he's doing it.
Definitely. So going back into the match, it was a win for Isaiah. He won it with a crucifix roll-up pin. I didn't expect it. I was under the impression that Phantasma was going to get the win and just go continuously build up the matchup between him and Kushida, and that would be the finals. But that wasn't the case, but that may still play out. We'll see. Now they're both evened out. They're tied, so they both have to win their next matchup. And then that's actually a big thing. So if Isaiah wins his next matchup against Gallagher, and then Tozawa versus Phantasma happens, and Phantasma wins, they have the same record. So that means that their tiebreaker was their match on this past NXT. And by those rules, Isaiah would be in the finals.
Which he should be. To me, like, I'm sorry, he just should be. Like, I know Tozawa's that guy or whatever, and I know that they always kind of have, like, he's always their, like, mid-card, like, back pocket person that they use for shit when they have to, like, keep something going. But this should be Swerve versus Phantasm or whatever. I always fuck his name up. But it should be them two in the finals for sure. Like, and my thing is, like, if we go back to the Luchador Mafia shit, like, I think that this is all setting up for a heel turn for him and for him to be revealed as the head of the Mafia. Yeah,
so that's perfect segue, because during the commercial break, it was revealed that Phantasma was still at ringside talking to himself or the cameraman or something. The masked Luchador Mafia comes in and tries to jump him again, like another hit and run, but it fails. And this is where you feel like this is all a play, this is all a ruse. Why is it that everybody else was able to get abducted or taken out by these masked individuals, but Phantasma's the only dude that can escape them every single time?
And not even just that, if you really look at it, they've never really tried to put their hands on them. They did that NBA hold me back type shit where they've, like, ran up on him but not really did anything.
Right.
Like, I'm telling, to me, this is what I've always thought. Really all of us have. We thought that I hope we get this Luchador Mafia shit. I want them to be straight, masked up and everything, but just suits and shit, like baller as fuck, mean as hell. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to.
For sure. Something else I'm looking forward to is Dominic Dijakovic taking on Johnny Gargano, because he cut an iPhone promo following this match and calling out Johnny Gargano and challenged him to a match. And the gist of it was like, dude, like, Johnny, just stop complaining. Like, you make all these excuses for all these people going ahead and getting these opportunities, or it's just basically saying, like, bro, you just been what's the word I'm looking for? You just been failing left and right. That's on you. Don't blame the fans. Don't blame NXT. Don't blame anybody else. Put the blame on yourself. Take accountability for your actions. And
we need to give my man some credit right here. This was a fire ass promo on an iPhone.
And here's the thing. And here's one thing I've always said about wrestlers is, let me see the person, not this fake gimmick character. Exactly. It works for some people, but not everyone can do that. And that was what's so great about this specific promo, because it felt like we were listening to Dominic Dijakovic, the person, not the fake fictional pro wrestler, you know?
Exactly.
He wasn't living the gimmick. He's like, yo, man, my family told me, were always instilled in me to, like, take responsibility, to, like, just work hard and do all these things. You know, I don't know the basis of the entire promo, but it was fire. It was good. And I liked it.
You know what I was thinking too is, like you said with that, is about him getting away from the character that he's supposed to be and actually being himself. Well, everybody's in quarantine. You're at home by yourself with your family.
Yeah.
That type of promo is perfect for him because he's right in the midst of his shit of who he should be. So you're getting to see the real person, like you said. And that, what is Stone Cold, The Rock, all of them, what do they say about the best characters?
Yeah.
It's yourself turned up 1,000 degrees.
And I love that how you brought that up, because if you go back, even though it's polarizing at the moment, but the Steve Austin what segment promo, that all stemmed because Stone Cold Steve Austin was just bored and was calling Christian and leaving voicemails. I'm like, yo, Christian, I'm driving down the road. What? And then he's just like talking. What? He throws that in. He's like, well, that was funny. You should put that on TV. Right. And he tried it on TV and it worked. And that's honestly, that's where you get the best material. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll go forward and we'll talk about the next segment, which also involved Johnny Gargano. It was his wife, Candice LeRae, taking on Casey Catanzaro. New heel look, music, entrance, whole design.
Fire.
Loved it, man.
Bro, and the best part was him announcing her to the ring where he said she's from Riverside, California, but currently residing in my heart. Bro. That shit was fire.
Dude, Johnny was straight up simping for this woman. I love it, man. And I don't know how I felt about him commentating. It might be a thing where I had to get used to the whole situation. But, bro, it was so good. Johnny was in his element, and he's proving my point that heel Johnny is better than face Ciampa. Because
I think that was our point.
Well, I started the point, and then you agreed on it. It was collaborated effort, so it's our point. The NXT crew at the SmackDown podcast believe that Johnny is better than Gargano.
I mean, you mean Ciampa?
Gargano's better than Ciampa. Yes, I thought that's what I said.
No, you said Johnny's better than Gargano.
God damn. It's one of those days, man. It's one of those days. I'm not holding it
against you. But my thing is, like, this is what I've been saying from the beginning about Gargano being the face, the heart and soul. He is NXT. He can be a face. He can be a heel. He can fight. He can make you love him and wish for him and hope he does the best and fucking babies crying and all that shit in 1 second, and then in the next second he can make you want to hate his gut, spit in his fucking face, smack his mama like that. He is the GOAT of NXT, flat out, hands down. Don't at me. Don't send me no other suggestions. Johnny Gargano is NXT.
And you know what's great about this heel turn with Candice and Johnny is that it makes sense. They gave you a reason as to why they're doing this. And that's something that's missing a lot in wrestling. Yeah. Because if you just do something, Big Show is a perfect example. He just came out at post-WrestleMania and he was heel for whatever reason to challenge Drew McIntyre. Yeah. It's little things like that. If you tell me why you're upset, why you feel the certain way, and why you're doing things you're doing, then I can feel like, okay, I get where they're coming from. I get the character motivation.
Right.
Simple, man. It's simple. And back to this, like in the match, I like the character motivation for the setup because Casey Catanzaro actually teamed up with Candice LeRae a couple times. Mm-hmm. They weren't a full-fledged official tag team, but they teamed enough for there to be like a story there that they can play. Yeah, there was a history. And Candice, he just wanted to take down Casey, and I loved it because Casey did look like the old Candice LeRae, how she used to portray herself, and then now she's this other version of herself. So it was like looking at the other version of yourself in the mirror. It was really, really cool. I like that. And honestly, like the new finish was even good too. Like that OG curb stomp where she holds back the arms and then stomps you into the ground. Perfect.
It was Super Dragon's finisher from PWG. That was one of his. It was the original curb stomp. That's what it was called before Rollins' version and everything like that. So yeah, it's dope. I fucks with it.
Definitely. What do you feel about the name Wicked Stepsister?
Yeah,
like,
it's
too long, right?
And a finisher shouldn't take you a week to say the name of a finisher. It should be something catchy and straight to it.
Exactly. That's my whole point. Is
even if it was just a stepsister, like that would have been dope. You know what I'm saying?
Or a Wicked Step.
Yeah, you're trying to get the step in there. There's plenty of different things you could have used, but they'll figure it out. They'll shorten it down eventually.
Yeah, it's a trial by error right now. They're testing some stuff out, seeing what sticks, seeing what works. Because it's new territory for Candice on WWE. She's never been heel, and I like that their whole thing is that they're going to rule over NXT. This is the new NXT. This is our NXT. We're going to rebuild it in our image. I love that. And then Gargano, I like the dynamic because he's more of or less just being a sub to the Dom Candice LeRae.
Like I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I might like heel manager Gargano more than heel wrestler Gargano, because manager Gargano is fucking fire. His facials, everything, bro.
After the match, he slid in and he's like this, looking at Candice. I freaking loved it.
Or when he was at when they had the promo at the end. Oh well, we ain't got there yet. I'll let you get there.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
They were in the back, like after she said her line, like this is the new NXT or whatever. How he just stood there like, "Ooh, you guys are gonna get it!" Like that shit was just fire. And that fucking alfalfa comb over haircut he does now and everything, like it's perfect.
It's perfect because he has this prickish look to him, almost like that evil weasel character in like movies that you hate and just wait for them to get their comeuppance.
And you can tell and you can tell they're both playing that up. Like that, both their hair choices, her makeup, everything, those were clear choices that they made to do, because he never really did like a bunch of shit to his hair or had anything slick back or anything. Like those were heel choices they made for their character, so I'm here for it.
Little details, man, they make all the difference. And apparently they make all the difference when you're playing a game where you're newly bro. So we had Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. They had a brand new segment called the Newly Bros game. First off, what you thought of the segment, man? Just be straight up honest.
Straight up honest, I hated it, but not for those reasons. I will say Byron Saxton is a fucking G. This was perfect for him. Like you couldn't have picked a better person or him to do it any better than he did. I'll give you that. And
he was so comical and over the top,
bro. Fine, but not too much. Like it was just enough. Like he fit. Like you could really see him doing this damn game show if it wasn't on WWE.
For sure.
Two. Riddle. Everyone knows on the show. That's my number one guy. I'm a stan. I get it for his character, but Thatcher, who most people aren't really hip to, but I am. This is not him at all. Like. This dude lost his tooth in the ring and kept going. Didn't get his tooth back in until the next day. Like he's an ass kicker. He's beat you down, beat you down, stretch you out. Like this isn't the Timothy Thatcher that I enjoy, but I do like the fact that they gave him a chance to show his range and show that he can kind of go back and forth with Riddle. But like I said, I didn't like it, but I understand what it was for.
I mean, for one thing, I think I liked it because it was entertaining. It was a fresh breath air, because NXT is usually the show that takes itself very seriously. There's not too many comedic stuff like this. This is something you see on Raw or SmackDown. And to see it on NXT was a little jarring, but not in a bad way. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying, like, I guess I needed to separate my fandom for the two people involved from what it was worth. Like, it was something new and fresh and different for a more serious show, and I got that, and it fit too. It didn't feel out of place. Like I didn't like it for my own personal reason, but for NXT, like I feel like it worked, and it kind of broke everything up with all the serious shit with Johnny and them, and then going into this, like it was in the flow of the show. It didn't feel like thrown in there like shit like this seems on Raw or SmackDown. So like I get it. It just wasn't for me.
Well, guys, if you're listening, let us know what you thought about the segment. Use the hashtag SmackedNXT on Twitter if you want to interact with us. We'll go ahead and look for that and include your comments in the show next week. That's something we'd like to include every week. So if you want to be included and partake in the show, go ahead and use SmackedNXT on Twitter. We'll look it up and we'll include the questions at the end of the show going forward.
We got to take our own advice. We got to start using it more too, for real.
I'm starting to use it. I'm starting to use it a little bit. Shout out to Matt from the Smack and Raw podcast. No relation. He's the one that really is the MVP of and pushing that hashtag forward. Probably the only one using it at the moment, other than us. But let's get it. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get the ball rolling. So going back to the segment. So Timothy Thatcher's asked a bunch of questions by Byron Saxton, and what I love is that he's accidentally getting them right. And then Matt Riddle's like, bro, like that's perfect. He's like so stoked, and I love that he was sitting on his stool chair with no shoes on. He was just barefoot the entire time.
He is just his comedic timing too, like, and how he can flip the switch from being like a stone cold fucking killer to like this stoner fucking hippie character, like how he can just seamlessly transition into those two separate characters. Like, if he's not a fucking star and a world champion, somebody fucked up somewhere.
Yeah,
Flat
exactly.
out. Flat out.
It's almost like he was made to be a WWE superstar. He fits perfectly in that role of what they want to do. And dude, honestly, like going back, like the one line where Byron's like, "So Timothy, do you Netflix and chill?" And Timothy,
I don't own a TV.
like Timothy, I don't even own the TV, but I don't need it. I don't need Netflix to chill. And then Matt's like, bro, that's a real stallion right there. Like little innuendos.
Right.
Or like one thing was when Byron asked Timothy what did Matt Riddle eat for breakfast, and he's like, I have no idea. And then that's actually what he wrote down. I was like, bro, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast. Like I just wake up and then my wife bakes. And then
She's
pauses.
a real good baker.
She's a real good baker. What were we talking about again?
Bro, I'm telling you, go back and watch Catch Points if you can find it on the internet and Evolve. Catch Points feud with Timothy Thatcher, which included Matt Riddle, bro. Mm-hmm. They had some fucking bangers, bro. Matt Riddle was a little green. He wasn't like as good as he is now. It was like kind of when he was first starting out. But I'm telling you, bro, like that feud with Gulak, Fred Yehi and all them, like I'm telling you, bro, like it is fucking fire. And that's
so they have history together.
Yeah, that's when he said like, oh, I've only known you about 2 weeks. Like, nah, that's not true at all.
Mm-hmm. Because he made the reference like I know Timothy like the back of my hand. If I knew my hand for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. I like it, man. It's pretty good. So they actually have some history
they
together.
got some definitely history.
And it looks, if you translate to the screen, because you can tell they have a chemistry right off the bat. It almost felt like you took out Pete Dunne and subbed in Timothy Thatcher, and not a beat was skipped. You feel me?
And that's my thing. Like they are almost exactly like he doesn't have the dope kind of moveset that Pete Dunne has, but I mean like he has this like raw. Like, it's almost a Walter. It's like a more rugged style that Walter has.
It's a British strong style.
Strikes, hitting, straight sleeper hold, choke you the fuck out. Like, he's the real deal, for sure. And actually, Shawn Michaels actually tweeted that when he was asked that in an interview. And he said the three people that he's got his eye on is Timothy Thatcher, Killer Cross, and I forgot what the other person was, but he definitely mentioned Timothy Thatcher.
Definitely. Okay, cool. Well, you were mentioning Walter. His fellow stablemates in Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Marcellus Bartel, they made a presence known during this thing because during the meat of this entire segment, they get jumped from behind, they get annihilated and destroyed. Matt Riddle gets tossed to the outside. They hit what they hit to finish off Thatcher inside the ring.
I can't even remember. Oh, I think it was the very European power bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they completely laid them out, and it looks like we have a direction as to where the tag team title picture is going to go.
They've been getting some TV time, boy. The Imperium boys, they've been on TV. They've been on every damn NXT, haven't they?
Almost. If they haven't been on every week,
well, I mean, like since like the quarantine and shit. But
yeah. For sure. I think it's only been like a situation where like maybe they missed an episode, but then they're back the next week or something, or their story is played out.
And even the one that they missed, they still did the video with Finn. So like they were still technically on every damn show. That's crazy.
So it looks like Imperium they stood tall with the titles. So it looks like we're going to get Imperium versus Thatcher and Riddle. I like it. A different matchup, something we haven't gotten. And it beats having to go back to the well of Undisputed Era over again. Like I love Yui, I love Undisputed Era, and I like the new pairing of Roderick Strong with Bobby Fish. It's different. I like it's unique, but again, I still would like to see Undisputed Era away from the titles for just because they've been associated with it too many times, similar to like New Day and Usos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I like where UE's at right now with them being just like henchmen from Adam Cole. Like, I feel like they can ride this out, like you said, to kind of freshen up, give the tag team division a chance to kind of freshen up and get some new blood in there. And I like Fabian Eichner and I always forget the other guy's name.
Marcellus Bartel.
I like them. They're a dope tag team, and I like that their finish where he like throws him off and Eichner catches him like midair and shit. Like they've got some dope stuff to them. Like, and I feel like they've been definitely getting the TV time, so someone likes them as well. So I'm definitely into it. I wish we could get Walter over here though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, man. Walter, man, last time he came to the States, he lost his UK title. So maybe he just doesn't want to come to the States anymore.
Right.
Maybe that's the case. So someone that is visiting NXT, and it looks like she's here to stay for a little bit longer. Charlotte, we had her match against Mia Yim next. So this is where we didn't get to the other podcast. This is where we're going to get into the fresh stuff, guys.
Right.
We have two different takes on this match. You tweeted along the lines that well, go ahead and elaborate on your tweet.
My tweet was that not even Charlotte Flair can make Mia Yim look good.
Which is funny because in my notes, I'm like, very solid match that made Mia Yim look strong. Which is funny how we interpreted that match in two different ways.
Because look at what you said, solid match is not a great match.
Right. No, I mean, it
Charlotte,
was never going to be a great match because it wasn't for the
Charlotte
title.
Flair has great matches. Even when they're with Kyrie Sane or just random people, you throw them in there. Something about the match is great. That match, it wasn't a yawn fest. And you're right. It was. I'm not going to say it was a terrible match because it wasn't. It was a decent match. But Mia Yim has nothing. I'm sorry. Like, just because you dress like Dress Hood and HNIC, whatever the hell she's saying, like,
That's a banger theme song, though.
That's fire. That's true. I can't even hate on that. Her theme song is fire.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you dress urban, that does not mean that's a character.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
She doesn't like. I don't know anything about Mia Yim except Keith Lee is clapping them cheeks, bro. Like that's just shit from like Twitter and Instagram. Like I don't know anything about her on NXT. I like the shit outside of it, like her Instagram and all that and stuff with Keith Lee, and even the shit with Malcolm Bivens, them going back and forth on Twitter.
That's something I like to see play out on TV now that Malcolm is on TV. Like have them interact on backstage.
Even if they run into each other like once a week, just for them to talk shit. But she has personality. You see that she can go back and forth. She has jokes. When are we ever going to see that on NXT? Because to this point, we have not.
Fair point, man. So we'll see what happens with her. Maybe going into a program with either Charlotte or maybe she's just like goes into a program with someone else. She needs a meaty feud. I think that's the big issue here with her is that when's the last feud that you can think of that she's had like a grudge feud or something with?
And again, that's my point. Like her whole package, like she's like one of those plug and play people that they just plug in for a week or two to keep going. Like even this shit with Charlotte, this had the potential to be something for her and to prop her up. But it was it even 2 weeks? It was a week.
2 weeks.
She called her. It was 2 weeks. But she didn't do nothing in between though. She called her out. She had a match, and then they had a match. Like there was no build or anything for us to actually see Mia Yim do anything or be anything. It's just like she said, she's a hand.
Yeah. She's definitely proving Charlotte's point that there's levels to this shit. And she's not on Charlotte's level.
And that's what I'm saying. Like everybody, especially Jay and they always give me shit like I hate her. It's not that I hate her. It's that I don't know if I hate her or like her. I don't know.
You haven't seen enough of her to form a valid opinion.
I know that she comes out in fucking baggy clothes and shit and does the things.
Cool.
Head bitch in charge. But that's it. What is it to go with it? She ain't did no hood shit. She ain't beat nobody's ass. She ain't talk no shit. She has not done anything. She just dresses like she went to like fucking City Trend or something and came out. Like
I get you. So we'll see what happens with Mia. Charlotte does pick up the win with the figure 8. Afterwards, we do know what's next for Charlotte because Io Shirai comes out to confront Charlotte and basically saying that told her next week you're mine, Charlotte, and challenged her to a match next week. I was first off, before we dive too much into this whole situation, do you think it's too soon for this match, or do you think it's fine?
I know that everything is kind of compressed and sped up at the same time because of this Corona shit, but I don't know. I'm eager to see the match, but I feel like they're just kind of fast tracking everything. Like, and I don't know if it's just to get Charlotte her matches that she needs in NXT and get her out of there, or if it's just they really just don't have anything. So maybe they're gonna give Charlotte a challenge every couple weeks or every week. Like, I'd even be down with that if she was defending it every week. Like, fuck y'all. This is my house. I'll defend this damn title anytime I want. Give me a new challenger every week. Like, I'm down for that. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm here for it, but not at the same time, if that makes sense.
We'll give predictions for the matches because there's quite a few of matches lined up for next week that I'm excited for. We'll give predictions at the end of the show. Going into this, I liked how Io just came and confronted Charlotte. I kind of would have liked for there to be a little bit more build up, more like heat, more interaction just between the two of them, so that when this match happens, it feels like it's a grudge. It's more like, oh, this is a big fight feel, you know? It's
that's kind of where I was at too, with them both being heels too. So now it's like they're both heels, they're both dicks, but neither one of them did anything. So it's like.
So that's actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's actually a question I had for you on the podcast is, do you feel like the NXT Women's Division, even though it's stacked and loaded, do you feel like it has an overabundance of heels? Like there's too many heels? Because if we just like count them off, you got Charlotte, you got Io, you have Dakota Kai, you have Chelsea Green, and who else am I missing? I know there's another big heel in there. Candice, yeah, a brand new heel in Candice. You have 5 big heels. You could argue that your biggest names in that women's division, other than Rhea Ripley, are all heels. Is that a problem, do you think?
Yes and no, because NXT has something that the rest of the women divisions don't have. They have tiers. Mm-hmm. There's the main event, there's mid card, and then there's your lower tier. So like I feel like that's good because all those heels that you mentioned, they all have their places on the hierarchy.
Okay. I get where you're coming from.
I mean, if you really think about it, there's two of them, and really you can't even technically count Charlotte. I don't, because she's the champ, and sometimes the champ, I don't put them down, whether they're heel or face. I don't put them with the rest of the group. So really you just have Candice, Io, Chelsea Green, and who was the other one you said?
Dakota Kai.
Io's your main eventer. Candice is like your in between mid card main eventer, and then you got your lower tiers after that. So like to me, like they all got their like you said, there's levels to this shit.
And I'm glad that you keep bringing that up because that's something that's very true that Charlotte's saying. We don't really praise Charlotte that much on the show, but she's earned it here because if you go and look at the babyface roster, the biggest name in the face dynamic is Rhea Ripley. Then you have like a Mia Yim, a Tegan Nox, a Shotzi Blackheart who's skyrocketing up there. I could see her being up there, but now it's like really drawing a blank of who's on the NXT Women's Division right now. That's a face.
And for me, like I'm not mad at that. Like I know it sounds fucked up, especially how I always talk about old school stuff. There has to be a good guy and a bad guy. But sometimes 2 heels going at it can be fire if you do it the right way. And if you keep the same dynamic where you don't let one end up eventually being the babyface. Mm-hmm. If you have them both fucking each other up, talking shit to each other, doing shitty shit to each other, like you can make this decent. Like even with Io, like I would have been fine with Io attacking her after the match. Like that would have been dope. Instead of her coming down just doing that Oscar shit, yelling at her, why couldn't she come down, fucking drop kick her in the back of her head while she's walking up the ramp? Like that type of shit would have been dope. And then you kind of put Charlotte in a temporary face mode going into this match, so then you have that dynamic that you need for a championship match. Because now there's nothing. It's just them. Yeah. Just 2 people fighting.
Yeah, I totally get you, man. Fair point. We'll see what happens, man. I think in that dynamic, though, I feel like Io would be the one that be more of a face because the crowd and the fans would get behind her and would
her
cheer
size.
her. Yeah,
the size difference.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what happens there. Speaking of size difference, we have Dexter Lumis, who I'm not sure if it's a face or a heel because he feels like he's a serial killer stalker like character, but he's targeting the heels, so I don't know. So he took on Shane Thorne. Obviously, this was going to be an enhancement match for Dexter Lumis, but it was a little bit more competitive than I thought it was going to be or even needed to be. It was a win by Lumis with the Anaconda Vice type submission. But go ahead and give me your thoughts on the match and what you thought of this whole thing.
The match was actually pretty decent, and Shane Thorne, I don't think he gets enough credit either. He always has solid matches as well. Mm-hmm. Like, and he got in way more offense than I expected. I thought this was going to be a straight fucking squash, but I kind of dig it. It's probably more so because he's probably on Raw now, so they don't want it to make like a Raw superstar look as bad on NXT, but I'm here for Dexter Lumis. I think that they need to do every week where he's creeping in the crowd, like that orange light or yellow light with him creeping, like, and then coming out with that Stranger Things music, bruh. I tweet this every week. It's like when the hyenas are talking about Mufasa, and they're like, "Ooh, do it again." That's how I feel about Dexter Lumis, bro. I love that shit.
Hold up, give me a sec. I actually have to look that up because I swear Matt from the Smack and the Raw podcast, no relation, he actually tweeted something about Dexter Lumis, about how he just wants to see him just like put someone in a body bag.
Yeah, bring a body bag to the ring.
I'm looking up the tweet itself. Hold on. I want to make sure I quote him properly. Give me a sec here. My internet on my phone is trash. It is Garbaggio. So I'm waiting for that to load up. Give me a sec. Or maybe not. Or maybe it's not going to work out. I don't know. Oh, wait. All right, here it is. Anybody else want to see Lumis bring a body bag to the ring and drag his opponents out when he wins? No, just me. Hashtag SmackDown NXT. Matt, I'm totally right there with you. I would have loved to see him like.
Oh, I responded to that tweet, so I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, man. It's something I'd love to see. It's different, man. I mean, you never know, man. It might be controversial, but fuck it, let's do it. So let's talk about the next match. So quick Dexter Lumis match right there. Nothing too much. Curious to see if his interactions with the Undisputed Era continue, and he just goes and stalks member after member and see if that's where they go with it. Well, time will tell. Next match, we had another Cruiserweight tournament match. We had Tony Nese taking on Drake Maverick. And early on, Tony Nese was real aggressive in this match, almost bully-like, just bullying the crap out of Drake Maverick. And he was screaming in pain. Like, it sounded like he was legit getting his ass whooped. I felt bad for the guy. And
that's why I said I think this is still a work, bro. I don't think he's actually fired, man. I'm sorry. And then what he said after the match, after he won, I'm not going to stop until I win the Cruiserweight title. Like, I think it's all a work. I'm sorry.
I don't think it's a work. I think it's legit a shoot. He's just that good that he's making you blur the lines of reality, and you're questioning whether it's real or not. And that's a sign of a great wrestler. And that's something that Drake Maverick doesn't get a chance to do on WWE.
He did not at all. Like, he's actually a really dope wrestler.
So, yeah. So, going back to the match, like I said, throughout the match, it does feel like Tony Nese is bullying Drake Maverick until at one point he's just tired of the trash talk and he gets fired up. He almost hulks up against Tony Nese. It turns the momentum in his favor and picks up the win with a top rope running bulldog. Reminded me of what the Dudley dog that Spike Dudley did, but more or less from the top rope, similar to how Randy Orton would hit his RKO sometimes. It looked good. It looked devastating. It looked like a fucking finisher, like it should be.
Yeah.
And it was a win for Drake Maverick. So before we talk a little bit more about Drake and where his whole placement in this tournament is, because I think he's done, because he lost his first match, right? And in the next match is, I think, Kushida taking on Jake Atlas, and they both won their first match. So whoever wins that is going to have a almost 2-0, 3-0 record, or 2-1 record, and Drake Maverick's not going to be able to overcome that. So he's legit going to lose out in this tournament, whether he wins or loses his next match. I did the math. But going to Tony Nese, is he going to get a win in this thing? I feel like he's going to go winless.
No.
He's going to go winless.
I don't need to have my weekly stand session for Tony Nese. Like, I don't understand what they don't see. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, he's a specimen. He can fly. He can do power. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not even going to lose my shit like I normally do about Tony Nese.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe I think he needs a tag team, man. He needs a tag team. I feel like
he's done all of those things, bro. They need to just give him a shot because people forget, like, on the Indies, how he got there. He was doing the Super Junior, the Super 8 tournament and stuff, like on the Indies and shit and everything. Like, he can do things. He can speak on the mic. You have to give him a shot and get rid of this. He's been this same fucking super athlete character the entire time he's been with WWE. No one keeps a gimmick that fucking long that's not successful. Let him do something else. Give him a chance. Like, and that, like, his circus fucking performer gear and shit and all that, like, it's super fucking fruity. Like,
it's dumb.
All of it's terrible. Like, give him a chance. Like, you did it for Neville. Let this man go. Like, he's just as athletic as Neville was.
Similar build too.
similar. He's bigger and taller, and probably he may not weigh as more. I think what Neville weighs a little bit more, but and he can do every single thing that Neville can do in the ring. There's nothing he can do that he can't. Give him that chance. Let him do it.
Yeah, definitely a fair point, man. So we'll see what happens with Tony Nese. It doesn't look like he's gonna get any opportunity in this tournament.
Nope.
But we'll see. Maybe he gets at least one win. But let's look forward to next week. We will have more Cruiserweight tournament matches. I think we have Jake Atlas versus Kushida next week. If not, it might be like Drake Maverick versus Kushida. Because that's where it's gonna lead. It's gonna lead to Kushida versus Drake Maverick, and Kushida's gonna win that, and that's gonna be the heartbreaking defeat for Drake. On the other side, we could also see Jack Gallagher versus Swerve, or Phantasma versus Tozawa, so they can give us one or two Cruiserweight matches next week. Next week, we also do have Finn. He's gonna be calling out his attacker. Apparently, he knows, or he's just gonna. Maybe they just don't know. It's probably Imperium, man. It has to be Imperium. If not Imperium, who could it possibly be?
I don't think it's going to be Imperium because it's so far off with the Walter stuff. We don't really – it's not even that it's so far off. We just really don't know when the hell that's going to happen. I think it's going to be – especially after the stuff with Velvetine, I think it's going to be somebody else. It's either going to be a Swerve or – I don't know. I don't think it's the usual suspects for this one.
One guy that it could be, Karrion Kross, aka Killer Kross, with Scarlett. They're going to be making their debut next week, so that should be exciting. So not only do we have Finn, he's going to have his live segment. They're also going to have Karrion Kross and Scarlett debut. More Cruiserweight tournament matches. We're going to have the NXT Women's Title match, Io Shirai versus Charlotte Flair. That's going to be a banger. I'm pretty sure that could open the show.
I don't think so. I think it probably will, but I think that they should close out. I think it should be the main event.
Yeah. So it's either between this or another match, but this match should either main event or open. No in between. Right. Give it all. If it opens, give it all the time they want to give them. Give them 40 minutes if they want to go out there and have 40 minutes. Personally, do you think Io's going to win this, or do you think Charlotte's going to return? Damn.
Hell no. I want her to. I wish she would. I don't think Charlotte should have ever been down in NXT, and I still hold to that. I mean, at this point, because of the corona, she hasn't – I don't think she's added much to the division, really. I mean, that could just be me, but I don't think she's really added much to it or made that many more eyes come to it, especially after all this shit. Like,
right.
It is what it is. I mean, I don't think she's going to win. I hope she does, though.
I mean, hasn't been proved that she helps in the ratings bump. She doesn't boost any ratings. So, I mean, me personally, here's the thing. How many times, and we've said this about Bianca, and it's true with Io Shirai now too. How many times is Io Shirai going to get into that situation where she's about to win the title just for her to lose to a Shayna Baszler or a Rhea Ripley or whoever's there? You get me? It's like, how many times do we got to sit there and watch this woman fail? Like, at a certain point, she has to succeed. And I know Charlotte just won the title, but I wouldn't be surprised if Io picks it up here. I personally, that's what I want to see, and that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that Io picks it up.
You know, I mean, we're together, especially since Shayna left. Like, she's my favorite woman in NXT. I hope she does, but I just don't see them. I don't see her beating Charlotte. I'm sorry. I want to. I hope it happens, but I just don't see it.
We'll find out.
Especially on a random NXT at first week of May. Like,
but here's the thing, man. You have to pop ratings somehow, and what's one way to pop ratings is to have a title change,
right?
I mean, why not? We book title changes all the time at SmackDown Wrestling. Kevin won the title in our first show, and then the second stream, Kyle won the title. So,
hey, I'm not arguing with you, and I'm not disagreeing with you either. I just think that they hold Charlotte at a different way that they hold everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I told you, those non-English speaking champions, bro, they can act like they're progressive and all this other shit, but at the end of the day, that goes into their planning on who they put the strap on.
Well, here's another thing, man. Maybe it could be like a Shinsuke Nakamura Samoa Joe thing where like Io gets the title, then drops it to Charlotte, and then Io gets it back, and they build a feud that way, because it's no longer developmental territory where you get the title, you get groomed up to go to main roster, you drop the title before you leave, and then the next person carries it for a little bit. They've done stuff where they can switch the titles around. We saw that with the NXT men's title, and we can see that with the women's title too. So Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed for EO. Also, next week, we have Johnny Gargano versus Dominik Dijakovic. Like we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Dijakovic challenged Johnny Gargano to a match. It was made official. Probably gonna be a Johnny win here. Like, he just recently turned heel. There's no reason for him to go ahead and lose here. But the dynamics should be interesting.
Yeah, there's two things about this match. First, we get to see what does Djokovic's ring style look like with someone that's extremely smaller than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is going to be a measuring stick on what he can do moving forward if he can have a good match with Johnny. Second of all, we're so used to Johnny coming from underneath every fucking match because he's been a face for so long. What type of match does heel Johnny have versus somebody this size? This might be the most match I'm looking for out of all the matches, to be honest, because like I said, this is going to be, to me, a measuring stick for what Dijakovic can be, and us to get a real glimpse of what heel Johnny is away from Ciampa.
There's more unknown in this match than any other, to be honest, and that's the big alluring factor for this. Like you were saying, Dijakovic, for the most part, he's been faced off against bigger guys. Mm-hmm. The other smaller guys that he took on were like enhancement guys or jobbers. Yeah. So we didn't actually see him with a legit opponent that made him the bigger guy, and the other person was the underdog. So that should be interesting. And like you were saying, Johnny playing heel, he might sneak away with a victory. This could be a situation where they make Dijakovic look very strong in defeat, and he goes ahead and just retains it that way. You know, I mean, picks up the.
That's definitely what I see. What I see happening, but I'm thinking about how are they going to get to that point. Like, what in the match is going to get them to that point where Johnny sneaks one out? Because that's definitely going to happen. Let's just call it spade a spade. It's going to be some old chicken shit heel type win. But how does Djokovic look getting up to that point? Like, are they going to do the Johnny took his knee out angle? Or are they going to do he beats the shit out of Johnny the entire match and Candice distracts him and Johnny gets a quick something? You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's what's going to happen is that Dominic's going to just beat the crap out of Johnny for the entire match. Candice going to distract him. Johnny hits him with a low blow, a la, and you can start making the habit out of things.
Right.
And then that's when he picks up the victory. Or it could be like a roll-up where he gets the tight and puts his feet on the rope. Something like that. Something. So it won't be a clean victory for Johnny, but I feel like that's a victory for Johnny nonetheless. And the next match, Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole. I feel like this match was hot-shotted earlier on, and they're trying to get it out of the way because of the whole situation with Velveteen Dream. And I think because of it, Adam Cole's going to retain here. I think he's going to retain, and Velveteen Dream, he's going to be pushed to the side, and we're not going to hear from him until this whole thing is situated and resolved. If it's, you know, I'm not going to go into details about the whole thing, but if it's proved that he in fact is out here, you know, just being gross and shit, then he's probably going to be gone from the company. Like you saw, like it didn't take much for Enzo Amore to get released when he had his allegations brought to him, and they released him almost immediately.
Even though he was found not guilty too.
Yeah, exactly. But that was because he knew this investigation was going on, and he didn't tell WWE, and then they had to find out via TMZ.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I'm not gonna touch on that subject anymore.
The thing about all this shit is that Adam Cole keeps running into this shit like this where somebody gets injured or this shit happens with him. And I feel like this stuff, not that it taints his title reign, but like it's always like, well, he only kept it this long because of this. Or he only kept it this long because of that. I'm like, it's not his fault that these dudes keep fucking up and they don't trust anybody else to hold the strap and to carry the company forward. Like, and I feel like he's not that he will be penalized, but now in the present living this, I feel like his title reign doesn't get the respect it deserves.
Yeah, it's going to be similar to like when AJ Styles held the title for over a year.
Over a year, yeah.
But nobody acknowledges that as a dominating or very good title reign. It was the lengthy one. So we'll see, man. Ideally, what I like to see is Keith Lee move on to the NXT title picture. Maybe he drops the title down the line somewhere, or he just brings the titles together, holds them together at the same time. He has to defend them similar to how Seth had to defend the US and WWE title. I feel like Keith Lee is the perfect guy to get that title off of Adam Cole if that's where you're going. If not, then I don't know what would be the next feud for Adam Cole. Because I don't think this is – ideally, I would imagine that this feud is going to be a one-time match. get it out of the way, because they can't just drop storylines.
Right.
Where they like, obviously there's controversy, but they have to finish this off. I think this is just NXT doing their due diligence. It's like, let's just have this title match. This is what we're building towards. We'll just have Adam retain, and then we'll figure out what's next for Adam afterwards.
That's why I love NXT, because they don't just drop shit out the blue and make you pretend like a whole fucking 3 months of storyline didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. So we'll find out, man. Let's talk about the main event. Final match of the night, North American title match between Damian Priest and Keith Lee. What are your thoughts about this match?
I thought it was a dope match. It was better than I thought it was going to be. They actually had a little bit better chemistry than I thought they were going to have. So I hope they get another chance at it, like when there's like crowds and shit. Like, that's the only thing about all these matches we're finally getting. It's like, you don't get, to me, these matches all need asterisks, or how the fuck to say it, next to it, like that, because you don't get to see how the crowd will go back and forth and like be waiting on Keith to come back after he gets hit. Like, it's unfair to the performers and to us as viewers, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, like, all of these matches are just kind of like in their own bizarro, like, alternate dimension type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. I mean, going back to the match, I really liked it. The one thing is that there was this difference. So the speed and the strike, like, was being brought to you by Damian Priest. He was throwing out all the strikes. He was trying to outspeed Keith Lee. Keith Lee obviously had the power advantage, but both of them were extremely good athletic-wise. Both Keith Lee and Damian Priest busted out some really cool stuff, because I think Keith Lee hit corkscrew plancha, and Damian Priest hit like a tope suicida over the turnbuckle. Fucking dope.
And like you said, just the strikes and stuff, like the precision, like, man, I mean, Damian Priest definitely got some, like, I already knew he was decent in Ring of Honor and shit, but like this match right here definitely made me look at him in a different light, made me actually start to think that maybe he has a chance to really be a main event player for real.
Oh yeah, dude, this match made me, and him just attacking and targeting Keith Lee, calling him out, the way his promo, because they both had video packages promos leading up to this match. And he just carries himself like he knows he's the top dog and he deserves to be up there. He's not there yet, but he will be, man.
This is what I was saying. I think I said this maybe really early on our shows. Like, he's like, to me, he's what heel Roman Reigns should be.
Yes, you have said this before.
He looks like him. He sounds like him. Like, he has that swagger to him. Like, because don't get me wrong, like, I'm not a Roman Reigns fan at all. But I know that Roman Reigns is a star. He carries himself like a star. He looks like a star. When he walks into a room, all eyes are on him. Like, I get that, and I know why they put so much stock in him. And I feel the same way about Damian Priest. This match showed that. Like, like you said, he's not there yet. But in his eyes and how he carries himself, he is that. He knows he's a star. He knows he's going to be a star. And, like, I fuck with that. And, like, I rock with that for sure. And this match definitely made me look at him a little bit different, seeing him going up against Keith Lee, who we all know is a megastar, just hasn't got to that where he needs to be yet to take off, but we know where he's going to be. Definitely made me look at Priest a whole lot different for sure.
For sure, man. I really like this match. One of my favorite part of the match was early on, actually. They get to the outside. They're actually behind the barricade, and Keith Lee military presses him over the barricade on the outside to the apron on the ring. It looks stiff and rough. What was your favorite part of the match, man?
That plancha from Keith Lee, and you could tell he fucked his elbow up when he came down, because he kind of hit the fucking, like, in the side of the ring or whatever, and as soon as he hit, he held his elbow, like, fucking hit his funny bone or something, bro. I just started laughing when he said that, but just seeing that big motherfucker do the moves that he does, like, I can't even explain that. Like, there's no way that a man 330 pounds should be that athletic. Like, it's fucking mind-blowing.
Bro, he is legit a star. That's why I want him to be the NXT champion, man. When we did our March Madness podcast, if you hadn't checked that out, go check it out on YouTube. It's very fun. Like, what was it, like 2-3 hours or so? But right now, if you're starving on content because you're trying to watch something, watch us like vote the best wrestler, and we got Keith Lee to the freaking finals of that tournament. we got into the finals against Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan did end up winning the whole thing, but goddamn, he got pretty far. He has charisma. He's great in the ring. He's able to tell a story because the ending of the match was a great storytelling beat. Damian Priest tried to get the ref distracted, and he does for a second. Brings in the nightstick. He tries to replicate what he did to Keith Lee last week when he hit him in the throat with the nightstick twice. He goes for it, and like a total boss out of a Dragon Ball movie scene, he goes and stops it with one hand. He's like, "No, I am limitless." So theatrical. I loved it, man. It was so good. He reverses it. He gets rid of the nightstick, hands it over to the ref, hits him with the spirit bomb. I thought it was over.
Double spirit bomb.
What I called is the ×2 spirit bomb, where he just goes like hits you, keeps you locked in, picks you back up, bridges you back down. 1, 2, 3. Had to make sure that made Damian Priest look strong because normally it only takes one spirit bomb, but he respected him enough. It's like, look, man, it's kind of like one of those things. Like, look, I know you dead with this, but I'm gonna shoot you anyway just to make sure.
Double tap, zombie land.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly what it was, and it was perfect, man. I love that Keith Lee was your winner. He stood tall at the end of the show, and that's what I want to see going forward. I want to see NXT be built around Keith Lee. I think I'm ready. I think I'm at the point where I want the title on him. I was at that point in the Survivor Series build. After Royal Rumble, I was really behind that, especially after War Games, really behind Keith Lee.
I don't. And it's going to sound shitty because we're the NXT show, but like, I want them to stop fucking around and put a black man on one of these shows and not have him shucking and jiving and dancing, but just have him be a kick-ass fucking wrestler who's awesome on the mic, who everyone loves, and let him dominate one of these fucking shows. That is not too much to ask in 2020. We already showed what he looks like versus Braun and Brock. He can stand up to both of them. He can probably fuck both of them up, and he's way better in the ring than both of them for sure. Even though Brock is a legend, I'll give you that. But he's way better than any big man you have on any roster, and he's charismatic. And if you need him to be, he can be that kick-ass heel. And like there's no reason why this man shouldn't be already on Raw or SmackDown fighting for a title, getting ready to get the world title.
Like we were mentioning throughout the show, and Charlotte made the valid point. There's levels to this shit. Keith Lee is on another level. He is limitless. Dude, he should be honestly, if he just skips the NXT title and goes and wins the WWE title tomorrow, I feel like it'd be perfect.
I don't think anybody would and I listen to a lot of podcasts, like from Bubba Ray and Mark Henry to the Black Announce Table and Black Wrestling Podcast. Like nobody would be upset if Keith Lee never was on NXT again, showed up on Raw, won the title, and went on a year title reign.
He's legit. That's why, because he's legit.
I don't understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody would be mad at that at all.
Yeah. But we'll see what's next for Keith Lee. Hopefully he drops the title soon and he can move on to bigger and better things against Adam Cole for the NXT title. That's honestly what I'd like to see him do. Maybe Undisputed Era cost him the North American title and then he goes after the NXT title. There's options there. NXT does have an array of different matchups they can play with. So we'll see.
I think they're going to keep them away from each other until this shit blows over.
Maybe. Yeah, because could you imagine the pop of Keith Lee winning that title?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to get them together Corona time with no crowds or anything. Like, he needs that moment. He needs that crowd. He needs that moment with the crowd fucking just blowing the top off whatever building they're in.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens next week. Next week's episode looks stacked and loaded. I'm very interested to see what happens. We do got Gargano, Dijakovic, the NXT title match between Cole and Dream. We have Io versus Charlotte. Fingers crossed on Io winning. We have more Cruiserweight tournament matches, probably like 1 or 2 at least. We're going to have Finn addressing his attacker. We'll see who that is. And Karrion Kross with Scarlett debuting next week. So we'll see what happens with that. But with that being said, I think that's today's show. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just let's try and get that #smacked NXT thing going. We're definitely gonna take it a little bit more serious and apply it a little bit more, especially like if you guys are watching the show, definitely shoot that at us or ask us questions. Even if you don't use the hashtag, hit us up during the show or while we're doing the podcast. We're definitely trying have some more interaction for sure.
100%. Can't agree more. So with that being said, that has been the NXT podcast for the Smack Raw podcast. We'll catch you guys next week for more NXT. Later, y'all.
Have a good one.